down to the library in the mile-high city of Denver, where we talked to Robert Muchnick, who's been cut off from his kids for a long time.
Wagener, we're here with Robert in Inglewood, Denver, Colorado. Robert, spell your last name.
It's Muchnick.
And did I offer you any payment, or have I paid you anything to do this interview?
No, not at all.
And you're giving this interview of your own free will?
Yes, I am.
Okay, Robert, what got you interested in your issue, and what is your issue?
Well, my issue is the right of children to have access, equal access to both parents in non-intact family situations such as divorce and never married situations. What got me involved in it is I got a divorce about 10 years ago, and like many other fathers, lost any meaningful access to my children.
And were you living in the same city as your ex-wife and the children at that time?
Yes, I was, and we are presently. The children live less than 10 miles from me right now.
And is the situation still the same? You still have a hard time having any contact?
I haven't seen them in over 6 years. I call that a hard time.
I think so. What is the main reason the courts refuse to let you have easy access to your own children?
Well, to have any access to my own children, primarily trumped up charges of endangerment for which there was absolutely no evidence ever introduced.
And what have you done to fight these charges?
I've been litigating extensively since 1995, attempting to recover my fundamental constitutional rights, and without any significant success.
And as the courts, have you endeared yourself to the courts for fighting for your rights just to see your own children?
Have I endeared myself?
Yes, do the courts like to see you?
I would say in a negative way I've endeared myself to them, yes. I believe part of the situation that I'm in is political punishment for having stood up and demanded my rights as a father and as a citizen of the United States.
Now, how long were you married to your ex-wife before your divorce?
The marriage was just about 6 years.
And so you've been fighting to see your kids longer than you were even married to her.
Almost twice as long.
And how old are your children now?
Presently 13 and 11.
Does it hurt not to see them?
Unspeakably. Yes, it does.
Does the system work to protect both parents' rights to see their children?
No, absolutely not. The system works to protect almost always one parent's rights as against the other parent. The system sets up a winner and a loser. And I believe that the system does that because there's no money in harmony, and lawyers would starve to death if there was not litigation.
So, have you spent a lot of money just trying to be in contact with your kids?
I'm a little unusual in that respect. I've done all my own litigation. So there, in my domestic relations case alone, there's approximately 350 pleadings, motions and responses, that sort of thing, of which I represent half, and all of that has been done by myself.
Did she have an attorney, or did the government provide an attorney for her?
No, she always had a private attorney.
And how does she pay for that?
She has money that she's inherited, sufficient.
Have your children ever tried to contact you?
I have telephone contact with them twice a week.
Okay. And what is the main reason the courts just won't let you take them out to the park?
There's never been a stated reason other than a general statement that I represent a risk of harm or danger to the children.
And that's based on what? Multiple felony convictions for aggravated battery and assault and carjacking, or what?
Quite simply, it's based on absolutely nothing. I have no criminal record whatsoever.
You have no criminal record at all?
Unless you consider a jaywalking ticket and a speeding ticket about 25, 30 years ago to be a criminal record.
Well, I don't think most people consider that a criminal record.
That's the extent of mine.
Has she ever succeeded in getting a restraining order against you?
No.
She's never asked for one or never succeeded?
She's never asked for a restraining order. However, the court all by itself made a declaration a number of years ago that there is no quote-unquote parenting taking place now, and on its own volition issued a restraining order, or an order similar to a restraining order that said I cannot have any contact with my children's dentists, teachers, doctors, babysitters, any caregiver.
And why would the court make such a ruling? Did they declare a reason?
No, there was no reason. The only reason that was stated at the time by that particular judge was there is currently no joint parenting taking place.
But you've been trying to get joint parenting for what, 8 years?
At that point, at the point that that so-called order was entered, I've been trying to get parenting for probably 3 to 4 years at that point. Normal access to the kids and parenting rights, which I had from the divorce.
So initially you had parenting rights from the initial divorce.
I had joint legal and physical custody from the California divorce. The Colorado court system systematically dismantled joint custody in my case.
Why would your wife want this to happen? Doesn't she understand that fathers are important in the children's life?
I would have to say the answer from the facts is no.
She doesn't think that fathers have any importance in the children's life at all?
Based on her actions, both outside of the court and in the court, I would have to say the answer is no.
Is she bitter because you divorced her?
I would be speculating.
Okay, I'm not going to ask you to speculate, but
I could say yes, she's bitter. She was, it's a blow to her ego or self-esteem that her husband divorced her.
what were you doing at the time of the divorce? What was your occupation?
I was in, what was I doing then? I was in the publishing business.
Okay, and what were you publishing?
I was publishing a publication for pregnant women, as a matter of fact.
Okay. You were publishing a publication for pregnant women. What was she doing for a living?
She doesn't work. She's not worked for years. She doesn't need to.
So she inherited a lot of money and she just,
She had sufficient assets where she didn't have to work, right?
okay. Do you think the system's ever going to get better?
Oh, yes.
When?
My guess is soon.
What mechanism is going to make it better? Because I've been watching this for 20 years, I don't see it getting better.
The focused and organized anger of the people who've been victimized by this system is reaching a crisis point now. And I believe that enough people around the country are going to be organizing and mobilizing soon, within the next year or two, and change the system. In Colorado, this past legislative session, a courageous representative out of northeastern Colorado brought a petition for the impeachment of a district court judge here in Colorado who entered an insane order regarding parenting time for an adoptive mother.
Do you feel free to give us the name of that judge?
The judge is John Coughlin, Denver District Court Judge. The representative was Greg Brophy out of Ray, Colorado. And the decision was essentially boiled down to a reformed lesbian female doctor who was the adoptive mother of a child, wanted sole custody. She was the only legal parent, and the judge awarded joint parenting and joint visitation to her former lesbian partner.
And because she didn't want to be a lesbian with that partner anymore, what happened?
She actually converted to Christianity, and the tenet of Christianity, of course, one of them is that homosexuality is a sin. The judge ordered her not to make any disparaging remarks to the child about the former lover who remained a lesbian.
And how old was this woman?
I think she's in her mid-30s.
Mid-30s?
She's a
And
professional.
her name was in the newspaper?
Her name was in the newspaper.
What was her name?
Clark. I think it was Cheryl Clark.
Cheryl Clark. So this Judge John Coughlin ordered her to share parenting with her lesbian lover. Were they both legally adopted, this child?
No, that's the point. The only Dr. Clark, the adoptive mother, had a legal relationship with the child. The former partner had no legal relationship with the child whatsoever.
I see. Is this disturbing that judges have gone this far to pervert the law?
It's much more than disturbing. It's earth-shattering. They're dismantling the country, the very fabric of justice in the country. And to be quite frank, Judge Coughlin's decision in that case we just mentioned is a mild one. Some of the other decisions that I'm aware of in the area recently make Judge Coughlin look like Mother Teresa. For example, there was a man in Douglas County just went through the final hearing about a month or so ago. His ex-wife, now ex-wife, has a felony conviction for attempted murder against him, a misdemeanor charge and conviction of child abuse against their child. So she's a twice convicted criminal.
And her name is?
I don't know her name. I don't know her first name. Twice convicted criminal. The judge gave her equal parenting with the father, who has a spotless record, no criminal history whatsoever, and ordered the father to pay lifetime alimony, forever,
To the woman who tried to murder him.
to the woman who tried to murder him and abuse their child.
And who is the judge in that case, do you know?
Angela Arkin, Judge Angela Arkin in Douglas County.
Would you rate him as among the worst judges in Colorado?
Angela Arkin is death on wheels, yes.
Is anybody making a movement to impeach him from office or
We
vote
are.
him out?
We are.
Who's we?
A small group of people, including this father I just mentioned to you, have filed petitions with the Colorado legislature in January seeking the impeachment of 4 or 5 family court judges around the Denver area. Nothing, by the way, happened this past legislative session on that. The only impeachment was Judge Coughlin, which I mentioned a moment
And was
ago.
that impeachment successful?
No, it went down in flames. The hearing in the House Judiciary Committee had about 200 people in attendance. The vote was ultimately 8-3 against articles of impeachment.
8-3 against. So has your small group decided to target those that voted against the impeachment?
Yes, we are going to do that. The representatives who voted against impeachment of Judge Coughlin will be targeted in the next election to be removed from office.
Do you think if you're successful in that impeachment or the removal of office in the next election, if you're successful, will that send a message to the other judges?
That's what we're counting on.
And if it doesn't, then where do you go from there?
We're going to do multi-pronged effort. We're going after the representatives who did not support the impeachment, and we're going after the judges again next January.
And are they of both political parties?
You know, frankly, I'm not aware of what the political parties are, the political affiliations of the judges are. The 8-3, the 8 who voted against impeachment, pretty much evenly split Republican and Democrat
I see.
in the legislature. The basic theory is that we want to have an independent judiciary. That's the basic reasoning why they did not vote for the judges. The other is that Colorado has a retention election cycle every 6 years for the district judges. My contention is a judge can do an awful lot of damage in 5.5 years before they get voted out. So we're going to be going after the judges again next year for impeachment, the bad ones.
Has the local Libertarian Party of Colorado done anything to help you in this regard?
No, they've not stepped forward. We have not contacted them. We are primarily a non-political effort, group of citizens loosely organized at this point, trying to regain fundamental rights.
Well, I would say you're political, but you're nonpartisan, maybe.
We are highly political, you're right, but nonpartisan.
Okay.
Everything we do is political.
How long has your group been generating to create the momentum?
Well, the Center for Children's Justice has been around for 6.5 years. We've been active in the political realm for almost that long. And we've spun off another organization which is dedicated exclusively to political action called Freedom Network, which is an educational and activist organization to teach people how to become politically effective, not just active, but effective, to take back our government from people that are trying to steal our freedoms.
What is your best hope for the coming legislative year in the Colorado legislature?
The best hope, realistically, that's on the table now is the impeachment of about 5 family court judges from around the greater Denver metro area.
Are they all in the same county?
Oh no, they're spread from Boulder through Denver to Arapahoe County to the south, to Denver, Douglas County to the southeast, to Jefferson County in the southwest. They're all over.
And are they both male and female judges?
There crosses the gender, it doesn't matter, male or female. Pretty evenly mixed, actually.
And in your system in Colorado, you don't get to run a different judge against them, do they? You only get to vote them out.
That's correct. District court judges stand for retention every 6 years.
And they get appointed then?
They are appointed, they're recommended to the governor by a nominating commission, and then the governor picks from the final lot of 3 judges.
And who gets to be in that nominating commission?
I'm not 100% sure. It does involve partly citizens, however.
Wouldn't that be a place for your group to try to get access to?
No, we need to spend our political capital in the most effective way possible, and that is by attacking the enemies of freedom that exist in government currently.
Is there anything else you'd like to tell us?
As bad as the system is, you can spend forever and ever discussing the downside of it, but the most important thing I think for the citizens of the United States and the individual states to remember is we have it within our power to take back our freedom, our liberty, our rights, and our children. We just have to learn how.
Thank you very much for this interview.
You're welcome. Thank you, William.
It's been William Wagener for On Second Thought, and stay tuned. And you also filed something in the courts based on the 14th Amendment?
Yes, one of the things we're trying to do to fix the system is I've sued the state of Colorado on equal protection and due process grounds. I'm alleging that the best interest of the child statute, under which law all these judges make all of these horrible decisions, is unconstitutional, that it deprives us of 14th Amendment rights. Another member of the board of directors of the Center for Children's Justice is suing the state of Colorado to block some certain child support on the basis that it is also in violation of the 14th Amendment, in violation of privacy rights, and in violation of property rights. And in fact, the child support statute puts a person, an obligor, a payer of child support, at risk of incarceration for debt, imprisonment for debt, which is prohibited by the Colorado Constitution. So we're suing the state of Colorado on a number of different grounds and a number of different actions to try and radically change this system.
But isn't the 14th Amendment you're talking about the federal Constitution?
It is the federal Constitution. It requires that states treat their citizens equally. It requires that they must provide due process, which means fair outcomes and full and fair hearings.
Are we getting full and fair hearings today in the courts?
Only by accident. The typical hearing in family law in any event is not full and not fair.
And you believe your 3 causes of action on this filing in federal court are
In my
solid?
Solid as the rock of
The
Gibraltar.
first cause of action is?
Equal protection violation.
Second cause of action is?
Substantive due process violation.
And the third cause of action is?
Violation of the liberty, interest in family, which the United States Supreme Court has said many times is found resident in the 14th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution.
Well, thank you very much for that information. Let us know how it comes out.
I sure will. This is where they won't let
Well, I'm not taking.